This movement of weathered material under the force of gravity, with or without the presence of lubricants like running water, neve or glacier. This movement of weathered materials are being prompted by some forces that makes them noticeable or unnoticeable. The various forms or types of mass movement are rockfall, landslide, earth and mud flow, soil creep, slumping. Note: denudation is in three-level phases: weathering, mass movement and erosion proper. Weathering itself is subdivided into three types or three-level phases that is being wrapped up in two. We have physical weathering, which is the pricing apart of rock particles; chemical weathering, which is the decomposition in its internal structure or its lithographic minerals, as well as decomposition by biotic agent, which can be physical or chemical. Factors that promote mass movement are depth of weathering. This shows the extent to which the rock has been decomposed or has been prized apart to leave the core stone or diorite inside. Then this extent, it's also showing if a rock lithographic nature is porous or if the extent of the decomposed materials will be high. Thus, if its solubility is high, mud flow, bog burst and soil creep will prevail. Another factor is rock structure. Rock structure also comes into play. Mass movement is regular in limestone area due to their level of solubility, especially in calcareous organically formed sedimentary rocks. Climate also promotes mass movement as much as it prompts weathering. In humid region, rainwater comes in handy as lubricant for flows, creeps and bursts. Desert is also a great place for surface creep, where the weathered materials are being transported to make the various sand dunes of different levels. Earthquake promotes sliding or slumping in some quarters, which are very noticeable. It's especially visible in hilly areas. Slope steepness encourages noticeable creep that are evident in standing poles, fences and other permanent artificial structures. Undercutting by wave, river and man affect hilly areas, cliffs and others, making huge amount of debris to slump or cave in on one side. Types of mass wasting are mud flow. This is a noticeable flow of weathered or earth materials under the presence of lubricants downslope, whether as river mounds or earth flow in desert. Bog burst during thaw in winter as the earth is soaked in neve. Soil creep is a slow unnoticeable movement of weathered materials downhill on a steep slope. This minute movement can be due to burrowing by rodents, root growth in plants, trampling by man, animals among others. When the roots of a plant are expanding, this will make biotic agents to react with the rock and it will be weathered and slump off or creep off unnoticeably in steep slope. Soil creep, like we said before, is a slow unnoticeable movement of weathered materials. So if creep is taking place, you cannot easily tell that it's sloping or creeping unless you see the plants or water changing position from one end to another as they begin to slope down and go down to show a kind of reduction or caving in to form a kind of trough at the center. Slumping can result where a permeable rock lie over impermeable strata like clay. As the former takes in water to slump off the clay, as the clay becomes slippery and slimy. So the clay will fall to one side while the other rock, which is permeable, will creep off or flow off or slump off from it to the other side. Landslides. Landslides are rapid and noticeable on a short distance basis or level near a road, ray, or hill cutting. This can be due to carbonate materials experiencing solution effects where they take in water and their solubility is porous or shown, or where a river is dashing into a slope, especially during human intervention, slope undercutting, gullying, and others. Rockfall is an extreme fall-off of a block downhill on top of the mountain or hills, either due to frost shattering or frosting or other actions. So this thallus screeds will fall off in an angle that is greater than 40 degrees straight down to the base or bottom of the mountain. Effects and importance of mass movement and weathering. They produce sediments and transport them to complete the geological cycle. They prompt individuals and government to use their land to save the lands from degeneration. They are also very catastrophic. When they take place, they tend to block roads and culverts from flowing or normal traffic. Landforms produced by weathering and mass movement are: 1. Weathered profile like saprolites, like those found in Jos Plateau, Ogun State, and other areas. We also have Inseberg, which are isolated blocks in the midst of lowlands that can easily be noticeable or shown from a high or far distance. Others are castle-podges, core stone which serve as durocords after weathering. So they are the core stone or the center of the rocks that are very resistant, that cannot be weathered easily. When the weathering has disintegrated the rock or decomposed the rock and the rock materials are being moved away, the durocords remains to form either another landform or screeds or talus. We also have granite hills and the whole of karst topography, which is your limestone area that has been reshaped by water due to the solubility or permeability level of limestone. All these materials that have been called or landforms that have been reproduced are all results of exfoliation, frost shattering, shelling, and other forms of weathering. In a nutshell, the depth of weathering or the lithographical nature of the rocks, the minerals in them, as well as the presence of lubricants can all serve as myths or media that shows how the rock will be weathered and transported through mass movement. To a great extent, rocks that are very porous are easily weathered, as well as rocks that their solubility is high. When rocks react to solubility, carbonation, hydrolysis, their level of weathering is likely to be very noticeable, following forms like bog burst, mud flow, earth flow, soil creep, among others. But serious weathering that has to do with shelling, frosting, shattering, and others can easily be shown in noticeable forms like rock fall or pieces of rock that fall off noticeably in an angle that is greater than 40 degrees to form talus, screeds, and others at the base or the bottom of the mountain.